As you may be aware, we've got special guests in the studio at the moment. We're expecting another one soon. We've got Johnny Booth, who is one of the guest speakers at the... Johnny, is this going to be the first ever official UFO conference that you're involved with?
It will, yeah. It's the first one that the Paranormal Symposium is holding, which, of course, Tony Topping is the founder of that, and it'll be the first one that I'm part of, and I think it's the first one in Southport as well, to be honest.
Right. So look, now, let's get to it. Let's see where we can start. Let's dive in. You believe that there is a kind of superior race of beings, let me just get this going, which are watching us, and is that right? And you've experienced, tell me about, have you got special powers which I've maybe not got? I mean, I was once in a house in Southport, and I'm not totally opposite to you at all on this issue, because I sensed there was something on these stairs when I lived at Cypress Road, number 75, by the railway track. I don't know. So, I mean, do you believe that... tell me how you got into all this, what you believe, and I'll come in with my opinions in a minute. Okay.
Right. Well, I'll take the questions that you've put there as well, and I'll put them on the back burner. In
okay. Right.
How I kind of got into it, or the major shift that happened within me was about 3 years ago. As we just said off air, it's coming up to the anniversary actually, and I was doing a lot of research into all different things, consciousness, UFO phenomena.
And you were going through a bit of a difficult time personally, let's be honest. You had a bit of depression and so on.
Right.
Were you kind of looking...
What were you... depressed,
yeah. And, I mean, is this thing which happened in 2012, is this like a thing which happened all over the planet? That negative energy was gradually replaced by more positive energy? Is that what you believe?
I wouldn't say it's replaced. I'd say that the time that we're in now, and the 21st of December 2012 was the central point of that, is that we're actually in a point of balance at the moment, a point of choice.
Who decided that date? Where did that date come from, that there was going to be a change in energy?
Well, let's dive into the word God, shall we?
Do you believe in God?
I believe in my version of God.
What is your version of God?
My definition of God is all that is. Everything in creation, everything within us, everything outside of us, everything on every dimensional level, within every atom and subatomic particle. That God is everything and everywhere, every when, every was.
So these other things that you believe in, which are watching us and waiting for us to make a move or whatever you believe in, do they have the same God, or do they have a different God, or do they not have a God at all?
Yeah, it will be the same one. If we're using that definition, if we're using the definition of that God is everything, absolutely everything, leaving nothing out, everything in creation, everything in existence, it has to be the same God. But again, the word God is a little bit of a sticky one, because it has such a, especially in people that are non-religious, they have a very negative slant on the word God. So you can replace the word God with source energy, with creation, with the universe. I don't particularly like using the word God because of that reason.
So you believe there was some kind of seismic shift in energy on this planet on the 21st of December 2012? Do you believe that?
Yeah, and again, it's not like it's...
I mean, how long before that date were people aware that there was going to be this seismic change?
Well, this has been known for thousands of years. Back to the Mayans, the Toltecs, the Aztecs, the ancient Chinese civilizations. They've all had these ancient calendars which have made these predictions through reading energy from the stars and different things, and they've had charts of forgotten knowledge that we are now starting to get back again. Yeah.
When you were 6, can you talk about this? When you were doing all that, you had a presence in your bedroom.
I did,
and you went flying down the stairs. Tell me about that. And
I like the way you put that.
Why didn't your parents? Were your parents not aware of the fact that you were going through a difficult time? Because were you being disturbed by aliens? Yes.
You can use the term aliens, or you can use the term extraterrestrials, or I prefer extra-dimensional beings. So they're outside of our realms of perceivance, shall we say, So I wouldn't say that those beings were necessarily extraterrestrial, because that means that they're from another planet. Alien means that they're separate from us and don't look like us.
How many people do you think believe in what you believe? 0.1% or less?
The latest studies...
It's a minority
The latest
view.
studies say that over 50% of the planet believe in extraterrestrial life in some form.
Do they?
So that's part of the shift, because that has really changed.
Sue's here, by the way. Sue's arrived, shepherded in by Mr. Trey T. Ford. I don't know if that microphone works, but if you want to cozy up to that microphone there, and then you might be able to join in the discussion. Let me just check. Hello, Sue. How you doing?
Hello.
Oh, yeah, that microphone's
testing,
working,
1,
right.
2.
Okay, so both... Lovely to meet you. Let's shake hands.
Oh, nice to
Okay,
meet you.
across the... sorry. Let's go back to this thing when you were 6 then, Johnny.
Yeah, okay.
What happened?
So, what I thought it was at the time, and when I reflected on it in my younger days, was that it was a recurring dream. And in this dream, I would feel this energy around me, similar to what you felt when you was on the stairs in that house, which comes back to the question before a little bit of, do I have special powers? No more special than anyone else.
Okay.
It's just that I've learnt to control them.
So did this scare you as a 6-year-old?
Oh, yeah. It scared
did you tell
the
your
pants
parents?
off me.
Did you tell your parents?
No, not at
Why
all.
Why not?
That's a very good question. That is a very good question. I possibly did tell them that I'd had nightmares and things like that. And obviously with parents being parents, what's the first thing they'd say? Don't worry, it's just a dream.
And when you went flying down the stairs, were they aware that you were doing this? Why were you flying down the stairs? Because you were frightened, or because these things were giving you powers to fly down the stairs?
Well, whether I actually flew down the stairs or not is open to debate.
Okay, right. You just ran fast.
Yeah. Well, I never thought of it as being real at the time, because as I said, I thought it was a dream. And what would happen is this energy would... And it was, now looking back, I don't necessarily believe that it was chasing me out of the bedroom.
Okay.
I believe I was just running from it because it felt so scary. So I would go to the landing in my dream, and I would jump down the stairs and float down to the bottom of the stairs. It was only a few years ago, after my awakening, if you want to use those terms, that somebody said to me, well, do you think it really was a dream? That made me think, now I'm not actually sure. So
ever since the age of 6, you've been interested in the paranormal and whatever we were going to call it, aliens or multidimensional, whatever you said. Are you ever scared now by your experiences of the paranormal?
No.
And you're not? Why?
Not at all.
Do you not get any I was trying to say malevolent. How do you pronounce that?
Malevolent.
Malevolent, that's it, right. Do you never get any malevolent things trying to contact your brain or whatever?
No.
They're all good?
They don't bother, because they know there's nothing there for them.
And what are they like? What is this like, this energy force? Because I was doing some research last night. I mean, you said, are they hybrid humans? Do you believe some of this energy or whatever, they're watching us, are they?
Yeah, but not in a kind of
and are they
strange way.
Oh, right. All right. What do they look like?
Well,
are they blonde and Nordic?
Even the term hybrid human, I would argue that we are hybrid humans. Okay, so yes, some of them can be described as the Nordic, or the tall blondes, or what some people in the New Age community
Have you actually seen any
Pleiadian.
tall blonde Nordic things?
Sue's pointing here.
So when did you see a tall blonde Nordic extraterrestrial?
When I was 7.
Was this when you saw this wasn't your granddad?
This is a long, long time ago.
Tell me about it.
I used to live rurally, crossings on the country. And now they're all housing estates, but they used to make my auntie's farms weren't in different parts.
Right.
Going towards banks.
Yeah.
Or bonks, as they say. And I used to take the dog for a walk.
Yes.
But I knew somebody who showed me the marshes, so we used to go on the embankments and down in the marshes and everything else. So this particular day I took the dog for a walk called Barney, which was confusing because my uncle was called Barney too, so...
Right.
So, yeah.
And you had a vision. You saw a vision of something.
Right, okay. Well, this is interesting.
Coming out of the marsh.
It does actually back up what Johnny was saying before. Oh, it's just a dream. But, okay, I saw a flying saucer above me, like a flying saucer. It was silver.
This wasn't a dream. This is when you were walking the dog.
This is when I was walking the dog. Bear in mind...
And how did you feel then? Were you scared?
This was 1953, so it was a long time ago.
And it was big?
And it was big.
Did it have a light? Was it?
I sort of started to leg it with the dog. But I don't remember anything. All I remember then is lying down on this like table, looking at the dog, thinking it's a really old dog. Oh, leave him alone, you know.
Was it making a noise, this thing you saw?
No, it's really, really quiet.
How big was it?
Oh.
Pity you didn't have a camera with you.
It was that big from me looking at them. But
in the 50s.
You didn't have your Kodak box camera with you. But,
it was a lot bigger than probably I imagined.
Do you believe that some, like yourself, you've had a lot of spiritual experiences, you told me on the phone, didn't you? And, I mean, I don't know if I've had spiritual experiences, I kind of had, but, I mean, do you think some people are more likely to have spiritual experiences than others?
I do. I believe that.
So do you think you've got a kind of
my family,
gift or something, or is it inherited?
Possibly. I think you're in control of your own DNA. It doesn't control you. So, therefore, yes. In a sense, my grandmother, my mother, they were all sensitive to it. And even with that experience I had, because I actually went into the spaceship.
Sorry, what?
I went into the spaceship.
You did?
Yeah, and I was lying on a bed.
You hadn't been just watching Close Encounters of the Third Kind? No, not in 1953.
1953.
Okay, right, fair enough, yeah.
Not even gone to the cinema.
Let's scrub that argument.
Didn't think about spaceships or anything.
You went into it? So it was a dream?
It was Noddy and things like that, Bill and Ben and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, those were the days, yeah.
Okay.
So it was a dream?
Well, I went inside, and I sort of talking to them, but through my mind. And they turned round to me and said, "Oh, you're okay. We'll look after Barney, the dog." And then they said, "Okay, you can go now." But they were tall.
This was a dream, though. This didn't actually happen.
Well, at the time.
I know, but were you actually walking the dog wherever you said?
I was walking the dog, but
this was a dream.
No, they sent me back.
You're walking the dog in a dream.
No, I was actually walking the dog.
Are you sure?
But my auntie found me in the barn, fast asleep, the dog running around with the lead behind him.
Right.
And that was like an hour and a half later. And my mum said, "What are you doing there?" I went,
and when you told people about this
when
you told your mum about this experience, how did she react? Did she think you were making it up, or?
What did she say? Okay, she said, "Oh, it's probably just a dream."
There you go.
So you fell asleep in the barn. You fell asleep in the barn and had this dream.
But there was a codicil to this because of my mum's spirituality, because she used to get visions, right? So the next day, my auntie came, and there was a big bowl of eggs that were freshly, laid. And I thought, "Oh, great!" I went down. Oh, it was before I went downstairs. I felt Barney licking me, so I was waking up, and I thought, "Ooh." Go away. And I looked round, he'd gone. I thought he'd gone downstairs. Because I go around the houses, so I'll try and make this quick. I went downstairs, and my Auntie Ginny was there. And I said, "Oh, where's Barney gone?" Well, she said, "I'm awful sorry, he died last night." So then I told my Auntie Ginny and my mother, he's just been in the bedroom with me. My mother's answer was, "Well, that was nice of him to say goodbye before he passed over."
Right.
So it was a serious thing in our family. So
we're going to go to some music soon, but did you tell me... no, dang it. No, this is fine. We've got all the time in the world, as somebody said. Did you tell me when you were 12 you saw the ghost of your grandfather who'd died? Can you talk about that?
I regularly talk to my grandfather on a regular basis.
He died when you were...
He lived in Yorkshire. I was a bit older than that, maybe about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
I came home from school, was changing uniforms and into play clothes and stuff. Yeah. And I just said, "Do you want a cup of tea?" So I dived downstairs, put the kettle on. My mother came home from my auntie's farm because she had a phone and they'd rang her from Yorkshire. And my mother came and she said, "I'm awful sorry, your granddad died this morning." And I went, he's upstairs. No.
You saw him upstairs.
The same thing, my mother's attitude was, well, that was nice.
That's spooky.
Is he okay? I'm going, yeah, I think so. I went up there, but he'd gone when I went back up there again, so I was,
And it is spooky, but when spooky things like that happen and then continue to happen on a daily, weekly basis, they suddenly become normal and natural, and you can't deny them then.
When was the last time you saw your granddad then?
I speak to him often.
Do you actually see him? Or is it just going on in your imagination or in your brain?
Not even. It's not in my brain. It's in my consciousness.
Okay.
And it's a high consciousness. So,
do you have to psych yourself up to get into a higher consciousness?
That was a good answer, Sue. That was a good answer.
Do you have to
not now.
You just naturally go into a higher consciousness.
Not now. No.
Could you speak to him now?
Yeah.
In this situation?
No, because I'm sort of grounded.
I know, but if you went over there
vibrations
during the music, could you go into a higher consciousness? No. If you went into the garden, could you speak to him?
I could speak to him anywhere.
Okay.
But he's not necessarily going to be there.
Oh, right.
Because when we at church, when we meditate first before we actually go, and then we bring our spirit guides through, and he's not always there. But Auntie Edith come through, and Auntie Nellie, and all sorts of people come through and talk to me.
Right.
And it's not something I do on a daily basis. I sooner talk to my friend on the phone or help them, in the physical.
You know those shows we used to have ages ago? Was it in the 1980s? Was it Doris somebody?
Doris Stokes.
Yes. What do you think about... Did Doris Stokes have the power? Yeah, she used to... I went to see her once at Southport Theatre, 1,500 people there. And she was allegedly putting people in the audience in touch with, fathers, grandfathers. I mean, did she have a power? Did she have a genuine power, or was she a charlatan?
I wouldn't call it a power. I wouldn't even call it a gift. It's just something that you can do. It's an ability.
Okay.
And it's something that everybody can do.
Everybody can do it. It's being aware. Sorry, Johnny.
Sorry,
all right.
It's being aware of that ability that you have. And when I was younger, I sort of thought this was natural, and everybody thought,
When my grandfather died, when my favourite uncle died, when my grandma Wilson died on my mother's side, they were very much in my brain, and they were kind of like voices in my head telling me. I mean, I'll give you a little story here. I was in a pub once. I think it was the Park in Birkdale Village, and in the change, I was 70p to the good. Now, most people would say, so I just sort of said, without thinking, I've gained 70p. He's given me too much change. But on my way back to the person I was with, I had a coat on, and I knocked this guy's whiskey over. I said, "Oh, sorry about that." I said, "How much is it?" 70p. And I thought, that is spooky. Is that my uncle? The one who really did take an interest in me, the others didn't really. He took an interest in my education and stuff. I thought, is that him telling me to be more honest and not, I should have said to the landlord, sorry, 70p, you're giving me too much. I mean, when things like that happen, sometimes I sort of, but I don't know, these days, I don't know if I really want to go there. I just kind of blank it out. I just say, well, this is just silly. Belief in God is illogical. Belief in extraterrestrial powers watching us is a nonsense. And I mean, David Icke, he used to talk about like the Queen Mother was an was a lizard, was it?
Yeah.
Do you think the Queen Mother was a lizard?
No, I don't think the Queen Mother was a lizard. But a lot of what David Icke talks about the metaphysical things and how the structure of reality is great information. But then there's other stuff that he touches into, and you just go, eh.
Yeah, but wasn't David Icke pivotal in your life? Because didn't you go to a David Icke thing? And he went on the stage and he started dancing.
No, I didn't go there. I was watching one of his seminars. It was a 10-hour seminar, and I was doing lots of research.
YouTube.
It was on YouTube, yeah. And I was doing lots of research at the time. and again, I have a great discernment engine for things that I believe are true, that I believe are real, and that resonate with me. And the other stuff that is fluff or I see as nonsense, I don't take any attention to. So I was watching all his seminar, and I got a lot of great information from it. But I didn't blindly believe it all. Now, right at the very end, what he did was he got people to come up on stage and dance. And it was... they were just free. It was the freedom of what they were doing. They was just dancing, and a part of me, or the younger me, would have said, look at these weirdos dancing on stage, what a bunch of hippies or whatever. But at that moment, I just saw it, and I just found it so beautiful. Yeah, but you can get that buzz of, I mean, dancing, I dance on my own in the kitchen, right? And I get a buzz out of it because the endorphins kick in, and I'm away, you know, playing my music in the kitchen. We all do that, don't we? I mean, even at my age, the thing about dancing is not to be self-conscious, right? So I'll have a dance and I feel happy. So, well, is there any sense... Can I just say this? Go on.
Is there any sense that these things that you believe in, these are they a superior power to us?
No.
Okay, but is there any sense, are they within other people on Earth out of the 7.4 billion who've had their bodies kind of taken over by these things that you believe in?
No.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Not without you giving permission.
So have you got some of these people inside you now? Have you given well, you know, I'm coming at it from a layman's perspective to a degree.
Yeah.
Have you given permission for your body to be taken over by anything else?
The first thing that you have to get into is your definitions of beliefs. Yeah, because I don't believe that my consciousness is inside my body. I believe that my body is within my consciousness. So from that definition, nothing can actually enter my body anyway. It's just within my space of consciousness.
Right. And UFOs, when you saw that UFO, because the one thing I was interested in doing research on you last night is this time and travel kind of Doctor Who TARDIS kind of idea.
Yeah,
I mean, if anybody sees a UFO in the sky, that could have come from 88, 99 AD, or you know, it could have come back in time, or it might have actually come forward in the time of the UFO.
If it's a UFO that is being manned by an extraterrestrial civilization and not one that the government has made, yes.
The government have made fake UFOs. Why?
Well, they've not made fake UFOs, they've made real UFOs.
All right, well, what?
Then they've got loads of them,
they are just unidentified flying objects.
Yeah.
Why is the government doing this conspiracy?
Well, it's not even a conspiracy. People say this about conspiracy theories, and in a sense it's a conspiracy because they've conspired to do it, but it's not something that's been done in the shadows. All these things are in the open. Even all the UFO documents now, every government in the world has released all the UFO
Every government in the world knows that UFOs exist and extraterrestrial beings exist, but they're trying to keep it quiet. Is that your theory?
For one reason. Free energy. That's the only reason.
What do you mean, free energy?
Well, the way that these craft work is they work on anti-gravitational energy, and so a lot of them work on zero-point energy as well, which is basically tapping into the very nature of existence itself. So when you can do that, there's no need for oil, there's no need for coal, there's no need for even solar and wind power.
So would it be possible for the government to tap into this anti-gravitational thing in any way?
It's not even that it's possible, they are doing it, yeah.
I mean, there are hydrogen cars I was reading about, which go off water.
Yeah, well, Tesla made a car that could work on water about 80 years ago now.
Really?
And the famous quote is from, I think it was from Mr. Rothschild, was, if I can't put a meter on it, I don't want it.
I remember watching one on the news when I was a child, and that was like in the 50s and early 60s. A car that ran on water.
Yeah.
But then it never materialised in the sense...
Apparently, in this country, there are 13 top-up points for hydrogen cars, but there's only actually 10 hydrogen cars in this country at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know where they are. Tell you what, this is absolutely fascinating. We're going to have some more of this stuff in a minute from both of you, but about 3 hours ago, Johnny, you said you wanted to play elbow, and one day... You see, I've got some varifocals the other day, but I should risk... These are just reading glasses, these. I should risk wearing them in the studio. I really should. Elbow, come on, why do you want elbow one day like this?
Well, as you know, I'm a musician, a singer, and music plays a great, massive part in my life and on my personal journey and spiritual journey. So certain songs affect me in certain ways, and this is one of those songs that I had a bit of an epiphany with. And the premise of the song...
When?
This was probably about 18 months to 2 years ago, and I was actually driving in the car, and I had to pull the car over because, again, I got this feeling of energy within my system. I got really emotional, and it's very hard to explain what that is like.
Does this happen with other songs as well? You're saying that certain songs give you energy.
The song doesn't give
energy
me the
in what
energy.
sense?
It triggers something within me. Let's
you have
say
more
that.
clarity of thought, you mean, or you don't literally get more energy, so you want
no, not energy.
You want to
run
a marathon.
As in, it's more like it's like butterflies in your stomach. It's like emotion. It's like a
we all get
emotion.
emotion from music, but go on.
We do, but to what degree? To the degree. Is it ever to the degree
some
where
music makes me cry. I don't know why, because it strikes a nerve because of previous relationships or whatever.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same thing where it's creating that emotional response. But has it ever made you feel like you need to pull the car over because you're going to crash because you can't control your body because it's that strong?
Well, not far off it. I mean,
I'm glad you
Beth
have.
Hart's singing I'd Rather Go Blind, or I was listening to White Flag Dido this morning, which made
wonderful song,
made me think of a previous relationship, and I was like the Dido one who wanted to wasn't giving up on the relationship.
See, what's interesting about you is you're a very sensitive person, and you're tapping into all these different energy states, and even by your own admission, you're saying that you've allowed yourself to become ignorant to it or suppress it. So it's great to talk to you because you're an open-minded skeptic.
Yes, that's a good. You're very yes. That's yes. Thank you. Shall I give you the money now? No, but yeah, I am. But I mean, there's no logical explanation for God.
Only through our beliefs and our limitations of our own sciences at the moment. And one of the things I like to say is that magic is nothing more than unexplained science.
The universe is inexplicable, isn't it? There's so many galaxies.
Which one?
Oh, well. You believe in another one, dear. Andromeda. You believe in a parallel universe, obviously.
I believe in parallel universes, and I believe in a multiverse, so that this universe that we are in is just one of many.
So in this parallel universe, with these energy things, what can we call them? These aliens?
It depends what they are, because are they
superior? Are they superior to us?
If you believe they are, then that's the way that you'll perceive them, but I don't believe they're superior.
So they don't have any kind of bodily needs like food and drink and so on. They're above all that.
Some of them do.
Some of them do. Well, where do they get their food and drink from then?
If they're an extraterrestrial that is still manifested in the physical reality, they'll get that from their own planet. But what I also believe is that they have, similar to in Star Trek, where they have a replicator, where they're literally tapping into, as I said before, the 0 point energy field, and they can create anything from anything, because we are all, of course, made from the same molecules, atoms, and even beyond that, within the atoms, down to quarks and different subatomic particles. We're made of stardust, and this isn't, pie in the sky ideas. This is mainstream science. All the mainstream scientists agree that we're all made of the same substances. So there's no reason why you can't take, and this is logic, this is absolute logic, there's no reason you can't take that water bottle with the right technology, which is just future science that we haven't got yet, which we would call magic, and turn that into an apple. There's no reason why you can't, logically.
There's no reason logically why you can't turn that into an apple now?
Yeah.
Well, why can't you then? Why can't you?
No,
I've challenged Sue to go and talk to her granddad in the garden. She's going to do that in a minute.
If you had the technology,
what technology do you need?
Well, you
can't do it by brain power.
To start with, no, of course not.
Okay,
it'd be great if we could, yeah. But some of the extraterrestrial interdimensional races would be able to do it by brain power, because that's what level they're working on. But most of them would use a technology to do it. And again, that's a little bit far off, even for the kind of suppressed technologies that we have within the government these days.
If you say to someone like me, how can you prove that these extraterrestrial things that you believe in, and some of these extraterrestrial things, whatever you say, could turn that bottle of water into an apple, how can you prove to me that they exist, apart from in your imagination and in Sue's imagination. And you've read books, but all those books might be gobbledygook. It might not be right.
So here's the thing about me, I don't read books. I've probably read 2 books in my life. I find it resistant to my system. It makes me feel uneasy to read.
But you've done a lot of research on YouTube.
I've done a lot of research on YouTube, and I listen to a lot of stuff. That's how I get my information. But I've also done a lot of my search through meditation and pulling stuff that is just so profound from a state of stillness.
But how can you prove they exist?
I don't need to prove they exist. You
need to prove to me they exist, because I don't believe they do exist.
You need me to prove to you that they exist. I don't need to prove anything to anyone.
Enough. Well,
and that's an integral part of what I do.
Don't you want to try and prove to other people that they exist?
Not at all.
All right, well, don't you want to sort of help me get on the path to discovering them and believing in them?
No.
You don't want to help me at all?
No.
That's very selfish.
Yes.
So if you were the only person on Earth who believed in these extraterrestrial things, you'd be quite happy, would you?
But I know I'm not. And people that are interested in
it's only a
these
small
things,
minority who believe in them. Oh, sorry, we've been down that road. Forget it. Right.
It's really
50%.
not. And it's amazing, when you start, and you could do this as an experiment with your friends and family. If you bring this conversation up, it's amazing the amount of people will say, oh yeah, this happened to me a few years ago and that's unexplained and I've always wondered what it was. Every single person has had an experience like that.
You've seen these creatures. Are these the greys? What are greys?
A grey is an extraterrestrial. Yes.
A grey is a shadow on the wall that you believe... Sorry, I'm only messing.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So a ghost grey or white, or... Are we talking about something else apart from ghosts? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, these aren't ghosts. These are semi-physical beings, shall we say. Quasi-physical beings.
In any way human?
I believe that they are human, yeah. They are actually a parallel timeline version of humanity that has gone down a different path.
Okay. Should we play Elbow anyway? I think we need a break.
Let's play Elbow.
Let's play Elbow. This is a song which made you feel emotional recently and made you go onto the hard shoulder in your car, is that right?
Well, that was about 2 years ago, yeah. But it was the concept of...
have you seen Guy Garvey? Have you seen Elbow?
I've never seen them live, but they are fantastic, and I love the way they use orchestras. And the premise of the song is that one day a year you get this feeling and you feel like it's absolute bliss. Now, the epiphany that I had was, why settle for one day?
Yeah, but if you're human, you can't feel... I mean, I feel high most of the time. You don't know me, but I do. And I have a very positive outlook on life, and I'm a half-full cup man or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I always try and see the good in everything and everybody. It's sometimes difficult with one or two people, as you know. But the trouble with me is I'm diabetic, and that does affect my mood. At the moment, I think I'm quite in the zone, so you know what I mean? But sometimes when I go too high... after a meal and I've not put enough insulin to bring me down quick enough, I go a little bit, whoa, not quite myself, not quite the energy that I normally show. I mean, if I wasn't diabetic, despite my age, I would have so much energy all the time, because that's what I was like when I was young, before I was diabetic. But you can't feel high all the time. That is an impossible dream. No. Go on, Sue.
Prove it.
Well, all right. Do you feel high all the time, Johnny Booth?
No.
Well, there you are.
You
feel you're moving more towards that.
Yeah, and
you strike me as very chilled.
This is the thing with what people call enlightenment, or becoming aware. It's a journey. It's not a destination.
So this enlightenment makes you obviously has made you a much happier person since your dark days of 2012.
Healthier. The relationships I have now are fantastic.
Yeah. You're married? How many children?
I'm married with 2 children and 1 on the way.
Is your wife spiritual like yourself, or does she believe similar to you?
Yeah, she believes some of it, but she's not spiritual in the way I am, as in she doesn't do spiritual practices like meditation and qigong and things like that. But she is more advanced in a humanist spiritual way than I am. She's the most caring, giving person I've ever met. And that, to me, that is true spirituality, without needing to do any of the other stuff.
It's 3:07 p.m. here in the UK. It's still Sunday, I think, and it's still the 13th of March. We're having a fascinating chat with these 2 great people here. We will now play Elbow, and I will brook no argument on that. We're going for it. And, every radio show I do is different, and this is certainly very different, and I'm quite happy with it, to be honest, because the Paranormal Symposium group, or at least are appearing, as you know, this coming Saturday, the 19th of March, at the Southport Spiritualist Church on Portland Street, and so there we are. Tony Toppin's going to be there, and these two people in the studio are going to be there. Are you nervous, Sue? Is this the first time you've done this, speaking about this in public, or
an actual talk about this in public? Yes,
you do, right? It's £15 to get in. It's on from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And so, how did you get tickets for this event? Is it eventbrite.co.uk or something here?
You can go there, or you can just pay on the door as well.
Pay on the door. It sounds a good event. I was just saying to you just now, I've got the grandkids, so I'm not sure. It's coming Saturday in Southport. UFO conference, the human dimension, was it, or something?
The human factor.
The human factor. So, the human race is going to die out, is it, Johnny? How's that going to happen? How's that going to happen?
Everything dies out eventually.
You never know. The human race could develop and live forever and colonise other planets, and we could perhaps go on forever. But
I believe
maybe
that will happen as well.
Maybe not.
I believe both of those realities will exist and do exist.
So what happens when you die, Johnny?
What happens when I die?
Yes, quick answer, please. Quick as you can.
Quick answer. When the human body dies,
you will continue.
Your consciousness will become fully expanded again into all that is.
So, do you want to tell me about your out-of-body experience? And you've already died. Tell me about that, Susan.
That was nice.
Susan. I'm calling you your Sunday name, Susan.
Yes, okay.
Okay, tell me about when you died.
Susan, my father used to call me that when I was in trouble.
Better give a good answer then.
Yes, yes. Come on, Susan. Tell me about when you died.
I had a near-death experience. It was through losing a baby. I won't go into all the gory details, but the thing is, I lost consciousness, actually died, and came out of my body and looked down at myself in the hospital bed. And then I went through a really darkness, a deep darkness, into like a bright, it's the usual thing, I know, the tunnel and the bright light. And my grandfather was there to meet me. And I said, oh, right, I'm home. How can I explain? In my book, I've explained how it felt. It was like I was part of every particle in that feeling.
And how long did
it
this...
It was just out of this world. It was just amazing. The feeling was absolutely fantastic.
I know time is obviously...
And I didn't want to come back. And then I met Jacob, my spirit guide, and he's been helping me to channel for the last 35 years.
In the physical sense, how long were you dead?
I think it was about 4 minutes.
Really? That's amazing. And that's just incredible. Okay, so when you looked down, you saw your own body. Mm-hmm. That is amazing. And did you see other people gathered round as well?
Yes.
And
I must say, prior to this, I did have out-of-body experiences, and I used to go through the ceiling in my cottage where I lived as a child.
Really?
And look down at everything.
Did that just happen naturally, or did you have to kind of train your brain to do that, to go to a higher kind of consciousness, or whatever you said before?
It's with me, it was...
Good question.
It was
getting the hang of this now.
You're very conscious.
It was natural. In fact, it helped my dad, because I came back next day, so there's a couple of slates loose on the roof, Dad, and he went, oh, great, thank you. And they were so natural about it. I mean, Dad, not so much as my mum. I think it's my mum somebody had said about the slates, so not me, so...
You said nuclear attacks off air have been stopped by aliens, is that right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, by extraterrestrial beings.
Recently?
I'd say recently, in the last few years, yeah, definitely, yeah. How can I prove that? No. It's something that I believe.
Do you think there's going to be a World War III?
I think we're in the middle of World War III.
In what sense? With the Islamic and etcetera, etcetera?
Yeah, but I think World War III is a spiritual war. It's a war of choice.
Right.
Of consciousness. And you can see the split in humanity at the moment. You only have to look at, for instance, the American election. There's a very clear split that's going on between people.
You think, possibly Boris Johnson might become... Do you think Boris Johnson and Donald Trump could be perceived as a kind of, I don't know, anti-establishment figures who people perceive might do them more good than the establishment?
Of course, yeah, because that's the narrative that the mass public has sold.
Yeah.
In America, for example, there is Hillary Clinton, who is the establishment, of course, and then there's Donald Trump on one side, but then there's this other guy, Bernie Sanders, who's described himself as a social democrat, or a democratic socialist, that is also anti-establishment and wants to break up the banks and things like that. But of course, Donald Trump is completely on the other end of the spectrum, where he wants segregation, basically, again, build a wall, and, anyone that is different is the enemy. And that's the polarity that's going on at the moment. You've either got the separation of Donald Trump and then the integration of the likes of Bernie Sanders and Jeremy Corbyn over here in this country.
So is there a battle going on this planet between good and evil in a kind of human sense? But do you think there's also a battle going on this planet between good and evil, between extraterrestrials? I mean, is it possible to have good and evil forces, that you've been talking about?
Everything is neutral until given definition. All energy, whether it's a person, whether it's a tree, whether it's a pencil, it doesn't matter what it is, everything is neutral until given a definition. So yeah, you can see it that way. You can see it as the battle, but the true battle is, as always, within each person.
Yeah,
I think one of my favourite quotes is, the line between good and evil runs straight down the centre of each person.
Really?
Yes, Sue, go on.
Go on, Sue, yeah. Right up against the microphone. Yeah, please.
The good within each of us, we should stay in our own good, what we perceive to be good. You gave an example before about the 70p, and then it was taken away from you. Because you were going against your own good, so therefore you perceive that with guilt, if you like, because these are negative responses to what you do. But if you do something and it's positive, then you feel good about it. When somebody gives you £10 extra in a shop and you go, oh, sorry, you give me too much here. It's not like you're trying to be a goody two-shoes. It's just staying within your own philosophy, your own goodness. And everybody, no matter who they are, from Hitler right the way through, once you step out of that goodness, which is you as a person, then you're in trouble.
These UFOs or extraterrestrial or whatever, aliens, are they kind of... I've got here, is there a conflict amongst them on how to treat us? Are they watching us and not sure how to treat us?
Can I just answer that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
My spirit guide, Jacob, and I've written in the book at the back, it's a question and answer, and he said there are malevolent off-world beings and there are benevolent off-world beings.
Okay.
He calls them off-world beings because they're interdimensional. God's interdimension, if you like. It's just we think on a very small scale when we come to think about the so-called God. I don't like to call it God. I like to call it the creator of all.
Okay.
The creator.
Yeah.
Rather than God. But so it doesn't take away from the person who actually created the universe is. So, but as far as you're saying about the aliens or off-world beings, I say yes. There's this war going on between them all,
and it's easy to label a full race, whether it's an off-planet race or a religious group or anyone, and just label. And this is what we like to do as human beings here on this planet: is we put people in boxes. So straight away, are the tall blondes, the Nordics, are they good? Are they inherently good? The whole race of them, there could be billions of them. Are they all good? And people are wanting to answer, oh yeah, they're all good. It doesn't necessarily work like that, because on our planet it doesn't work like that, does it?
Explain this concept to me about nobody gets hurt and only experience. You only experience getting hurt. What do you mean by that? Nobody actually gets physically hurt.
It's similar to what we was talking about off air just a minute ago, when we were talking about the structure of reality and the perception of physical reality, which can be described and proven to be non-physical, with atoms being made up of mostly space and not actually touching each other and having space between them. So, again, it's a very expanded way of looking at it, that the experience of getting hurt will, of course, happen, and we've all experienced that in this room, we've experienced both sides of the spectrum, the joy, the fear, the pain and the pleasure. So the experience of it is very real. So I don't want to be misquoted on that. But in a sense, then, on a grander scale, everyone is okay. Everyone is
We're
fine.
not talking about physical hurt. You're talking about mental hurt.
On whichever level you want to go.
Okay,
Mental pain, physical pain, emotional pain, which, of course, we often see.
Mighty Radio.
Okay, it's 3:38. That means it's probably 22 minutes to go before 4 p.m. right here on Mighty Southport, broadcasting live from Studio 1. We've got some amazing guests in the studio. I think they're going to depart around about 4 p.m.-ish, so I will do the last hour probably, and then we're going to finish around about 5 p.m. Don't forget, we've got Kev Pete and the Soul Show at 6 p.m, and as far as I know, we have got Dave, the Mighty Quinn, and Tidy Trevor Ford doing their inimitable show around about 8 p.m. tonight, all the way through to 10 p.m. So that's the way ahead. So there we go. So we are talking to special guests here in the studio. This is Mrs. Is it Miss? Oh, sorry, I won't ask you that. Sue Kyng, Miss. Right. It says here in the paper your name's spelled K-I-N-G, but actually, is it K-Y-N-G?
K-Y-N-G, yeah.
Is that your real name?
No.
Is that? Oh, it's a you write it. Tell us about this book you've written.
It's a pseudonym.
It's a pseudonym. So what's your real name?
Sue.
Sue Queen or
Pseudonym.
Tell us about your book. What's it about, and how can people get hold of it? And
This present book took me over 30 years to write it.
Really?
I didn't know I was going to write it.
Right.
It's just my spirit guide kept saying, write your book.
Right.
So, but I collected journals. It's partly about show business, my time in show business, but the funny things that happened to me in show business spiritually.
Tell us about your showbiz career, because you were known as Sue Christmas, is that right?
No.
No, you weren't. Somebody Christmas. Father Christmas.
Carol Christmas.
Carol Christmas.
Yes. I've heard that joke before.
I thought
every
you might have
Christmas
done.
I used to work.
Thought you
I
might
bet
have
your
done.
dad's busy today.
Yeah. So when was that, in the 70s? You were a singer?
It was. I changed my name about 1971 to Carol Christmas.
Did you play the cruise ships?
No.
Okay,
I had a manager, and I did summer seasons, the piers at Blackpool and all over the country, and worked abroad. Algeria, France, Germany, the Middle East, America, Canada, different places.
And what sort of style of singing were you?
Right across the board.
Really?
Middle of the road.
Okay.
I did specialise with a trio in Liverpool in the 60s at the Cabaret Club, and that was blues and swing. That was really good.
You're not going to sing today, are you?
No.
Oh dear.
I'm very rusty.
We've persuaded Johnny's going to give us a tune soon. Listen, you were also involved in June FM back in the 1990s. Tell us about that. You remember Coops, John Cooper, and do you remember Dave Quinn and all that lot, Trevor Ford?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, I used to do a Sunday show with somebody called Richard Bond, and I used to go in. He used to have a show every day.
Yeah.
I used to pop in and out, really. They had a month. I got to meet some of my heroes, like Elkie Brooks.
Oh, really?
Different people when they came to the theatre. Because we had like a porter cabin behind the theatre.
Floral Hall.
And it was the days of the vinyl then.
The days of the vinyl.
Yes.
Right. So you don't fancy restarting that career in any way, either as a radio presenter or a singer?
I've been asked to a few times, but no. A singer, yeah, I've been asked to join a group recently. I might just do that because I enjoy singing. But I'm writing my second book now.
Oh, really?
So
what's the name of your book? Is it on Amazon or?
It's on Amazon and .co.uk.
Yes.
It's hard copy and also as Kindle.
And what's it called again?
It's called Lost in Space and Time.
Lost in Space and Time by Sue Kyng, spelt K-Y-N-G. Okay, that sounds a great book.
You can always get it from a publisher, so American.
I'm going to get it. I'm going to read it.
They're called Glenanti T.Y.
And if you go into Waterstones, or what's that wonderful bookshop in Southport with the coal fire, and what's that called? Anyway, near the market. Waterstones, would they'd be able to get it, I think, right?
They would be able to.
So Lost in Space and Time, was it?
I've got to do some research and sort of get it out there.
And so there we are. It's all about your experiences. What's the second book going to be about?
It's a continuation of the first book, actually. Yeah. The first book's about my near-death experience and all my spiritual experiences from being a child.
Brilliant.
Through the 50s, right the way up to present day. So it's a continuation. It's called Exploring Space and Time, which I am.
Right. So you have children. Are they? Do they have the kind of similar gift, if you want to call it, as you have? Spiritual.
They are aware. But they don't use it.
They don't use it.
They think I'm away with the fairies, I think. But, you know, my grandson, I have to say. Because Tony's like a friend of the family, and he's sort of adopted me as his surrogate mother when he's over here. And he said to my grandson, come down to the beach and we'll go and see if we can see any UFOs. And my grandson's going, don't think so. Went down to the beach and he saw UFOs. He said, I've seen UFOs. So, you know.
Do you not think, though, that the vast majority of what people think they think is a UFO is actually something like a flying tea towel? There was a famous story. This is absolutely true. Southport Visitor. I don't know if Andrew Brown's out there, probably not. But years ago, the Southport Visitor had the front page story that all these people were claiming to see a UFO, but it was just a stray tea towel. I'm not being cynical. I'm just saying that a lot of people probably think they see UFOs, but in point of fact, they're not. There's a more logical explanation.
A lot of the time, yeah. And of course, a UFO by its own definition is an unidentified flying object. So your flying tea towel is a UFO in that sense. But what we're talking about here is spacecraft, which is...
Tell me about UFOs.
What's really interesting is because they're interdimension as well. I could see one, and you might be looking. Yeah, you might be looking up into the sky and not see that.
Oh, really? So some people can see
because it depends on the vibration.
that's very true.
A UFO is an organic being, is it?
Some of them are, yeah. Well, it's organic might not be the right word, but conscious.
So
the actual
like a crystal, you can say a crystal is alive.
What's creating the bright light in the sky? If a UFO has a bright light, what's causing that bright light?
The UFO. A lot.
So it's not electricity, though. It's not.
A lot of the time, these things are just done by them to be seen, for people to have certain experiences. It's not necessarily that they're flying around with that light on, because it may not be doing a certain function.
It's 3:45. When did you come? About after you've been here for a long time.
Could I just say about that? And there's a very famous UFO incident which was in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's known as the Phoenix Lights. If anyone wants to check that out on YouTube and do a bit of research on that, that was really profound, because these lights were coming on and off in certain sequences, which was, of course, done on purpose. Now, the ship that was supposedly there was miles wide. And have a look at that yourself as well. You'll find it really interesting. Very, very interesting.
And the Roswell incident in 1947, is that an definite example of American government cover-up?
Well, yeah, but it's kind of the poster boy for that. And he's often used in that way, and people that are sceptical and that are like you will always refer to that. But lots more incidents have happened like that, in my honest opinion, that have been covered up. And people talk about Area 51. And again, it's this kind of...
The reason you two are here, mainly, it's been lovely to meet you, and I really mean that, obviously, is this coming Saturday, March the 19th, you're going to be exploring aliens and X-Files. What are X-Files?
X-Files? Does it say that on there?
This is the Southport Visitor. It's Ollie Cowan. I know. Well, I've met Ollie Cowan.
I think that's been rewritten and paraphrased.
Yeah, they got Susan's name spelt wrong, maybe. So you're looking forward to Saturday, you two?
I am. I'm really looking forward to it. It's both mine and Sue's debut speaking in that conference setting. We have obviously spoke before on mic when we're on stage and in groups teaching. And things like that, teaching. Yeah, but this is a very different thing, standing in front of a group and talking at length. And yeah, just quickly before we do finish up, I'd just like to say what the event really is about.
Please do, yeah.
Because it's not necessarily, as we've touched on today, to convince people that any of this is real.
Okay.
It's more for people that have had experiences or are interested in having experiences and want some clarity of what the human factor of that is, how it affects you on a psychological level, a physical level, a mental level, an energetic level. And so that's what all the speakers will be talking about, their own experiences and how that affects you.
So you'll be doing like a formal talk for what, half an hour or?
I think we're doing about an hour each.
An hour each, and then there'll be chance for questions, presumably.
Yes.
We're going to have questions to the panel at the end. My format will be a little bit different from the likes of Tony and Steve Mera who are coming.
Yeah.
I'll probably take some questions during my talk to break things up a little bit.
Right.
And work in a bit of a more interactive way. That's more of my style. But all four of us will take some questions at the end as well.
So this is the Southport Spiritualist Church. Is it a big place? Are you expecting 100? Or?
It's not that big. I've worked out with the seats. We'll probably be able to fit about 60 in.
Okay.
And I've spoke to Tony about this, and hopefully we're not going to have to turn people away at the door. But this is kind of the litmus test of what we can do, and if we do get a really good turnout, we'll just have to see what happens in the future.
So
maybe
you might even accept somebody like a slight skeptic like me, and if you've got room,
of course,
standing room only at the back.
And as I say,
as long as you don't ask any questions.
Don't ask any questions, right?
Well, yeah, it's not
about Pink Floyd tickets or anything like that.
It's not exclusively for people who have had experiences or are interested in that. It is open to anyone. So yeah, please do come down, and if anything, it'll just be an interesting day, full jam-packed of information and experiences from all different angles, because we all come at this from a very slightly different angle.
Refreshments available, as far as you know?
There isn't on this day. Usually when I do a workshop on a Saturday, I usually make some food because I love cooking, but refreshments aren't available at the church on this day, but there is a shop literally right next door. And there will be regular breaks for people. Okay,
all of us here at Mighty Southport, and especially me, wishes you all the luck in the world with this interesting event on Saturday. The first ever official UFO conference, as we touched on, about 5 hours ago, whenever this chat started. Listen, it's been wonderful to meet you too. Thank you so much for dropping by on a, I don't know, it's kind of dullish March afternoon here. Been lovely to meet and lovely to chat with you. It's been interesting. And so there we are. So obviously we will keep in touch, and possibly, we've already talked off air, possibly get you two back on again at a future date, and so on. So, okay, so have you got a job? Do you have a real job apart from pontificating about? Go on. I'm only messing.
Well, yeah, I used to be a scaffolder, and I say to people that I retired 3 years ago when I had this awakening experience, and now I just get paid for doing the things that I love in my retirement at 34 years old. So yeah, I'm a singer, songwriter, musician, teacher. I do all kinds of different things.
And where do you play? You play in the office normally if people turn up in Southport, yeah?
I play in the office on Sundays, usually from 2 till 4.
2 till 4.
And I gig all over the Northwest through my agent.
Yeah,
and then I teach at Rimmers.
Of course.
Teach vocals and guitar.
Brilliant.
And I also then run a class on Wednesday nights at Portland Street Spiritualist Church regarding all of the things we've talked about today. Mindfulness, self-empowerment, meditation, all these different things. And we also, I have a outdoor class on a Sunday morning where I'm in conjunction with Dave Jones, who is a Qigong teacher. Right. So we go out and about in nature and teach people how to connect with nature and do different types of energy work. So lots of stuff.
And so you used to be a teacher, didn't you, in colleges? And you used to teach computers?
Yes. I had a stroke in the 90s, so I had to stop singing because it was related to adrenaline. Long story short, I just couldn't sit around doing nothing, so I went to college and did a teaching certificate and became a teacher. Computers,
Brilliant. Yes. And how do you keep busy these days?
Writing, I'm writing.
Of course, you're writing a second book.
Yes.
Do you write it in longhand?
I do a lot. I do a lot of scribbling down.
Yeah.
Or notes
Brilliant.
on my tablet.
Brilliant.
But then I was shot on typist 4 years ago.
Johnny Booth and Sue Kyng, that might not be the real names, but they've been my special guests over the last 2 hours. So, goodbye. I don't know how to bring this to a conclusion apart from playing Pink Floyd, especially for you, Susan. I'm giving you your Sunday night.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Okay,
Thanks for
no
having
worries
us.
at all. Total pleasure.
Thank you, Chris.
Total pleasure.
Came like a bolt in the night. Now I know this time it's you. Rose from the depths to the light. Now I know this time it's you. And when you came upon us like a real person, every touch your movements made shall be seen. Unchain the clouds in the skies, let the birds come down with you. Led by the force of the sun, ancient races spoke of you. Changing seasons, violent storms, oceans turning, come together, power the body's rain. Moisture sucked up by the sun,